Philip with White Metal Games here. I just wanted to do a quick update. It is Saturday the 28th, I think, 27th or so of January 2013. And we've been tidying up here around the studio and taking care of a few projects. I wanted to show you a little bit of what we've been doing. Not a whole lot to show you progress-wise from the last update. We started painting some Tyranids for a new Tyranid army. We just finished up our Desert Tyranid army a few weeks ago, and we're moving on to our next project. So we started to put together a new Nid army. We've also got a Necron army and Chaos army coming down the pike. And we just sort of mix it up and go back and forth so we don't get bored with one particular color scheme. But on the other side of that coin, we've got other stuff that we work on too. So recently we had one of our resident painters, Mike Hartshorn, paint us up a squad of Chaos Space Marine Chosen from the new Dark Vengeance set. I'm going to show you that. And we've also got some Nurgle Chaos Lords with slug tails that we count as palanquins, and I'm going to show you those. So let's just get right to it. So first up, these are the Chaos Space Marine Chosen that Mike did. I'm going to kind of go in slow for you. Now this is the complete set from the box, with the exception of we used 2 of the ones with lightning claws instead of 2 of the ones with bolters. Normally this set comes with 2 guys with bolters, and we decided to swap that out because we like the lightning claws a little bit better. So this is a Black Legion color scheme. Now this is a tabletop standard. This is nothing fancy. This is run-of-the-mill tabletop, but it's what you can expect from a tabletop job. So what you're getting is basically 2 tones. You're getting lights and darks. You're getting some very, very flat matte style coloring, like with the reds of the cloaks and the loincloths and that sort of thing, and the horns. You're getting some very basic metallic work, and that's about it. You're not really getting a lot of specialty anything, but you do get your basic basing. Here you can see the greens on the basing. Of course, all the details are covered. So for example, on this cloak here, you can see that there's the grays have been painted in, and the furs had a 2-tone gray applied to it. So all the basics are there, just none of the fancy stuff that you would expect with a higher level figure. On this particular aspiring champion with Power Wall, bring the house down. You can see that the flesh does have a couple 2-tones in there, so there is 2 levels of color there. So you get your basic lights and darks, just nothing special after that. And that's for a tabletop job. If you want a higher quality, we do of course paint more details with more care, but it does cost a little bit more. So these are a variety of lords that I recently finished for a Nurgle. Let me pull my chair up here so I can get a better angle. So it started with this. We built one of these lords. So we had, I had the idea that I wanted a Chaos Lord on Palanquin, but the Palanquin's actually kind of a tricky build. It requires quite a few bits to build one, and it's a very time-intensive effort. And I don't necessarily know if people love them or not. And I even think that GW is about to release a Herald on Palanquin in the next month or so. But in the meantime, I wanted something that would work as a Palanquin and count and be a quick, easy fix without spending a lot of time or a lot of money on bits. So this is what we came up with. This is sort of a slug tail. I don't do a lot of sculpting, but simple sculpts aren't that bad, and this is a simple sculpt. So basically, as you can see, it's basically just a rounded slug-like tail that goes into the body, and it joins with the torso. And then on the sides, there's these sort of ventricular areas where it's almost like a foot that helps him slither along the ground. I did put these guys on 40s because I felt like if they had a Palanquin, they would not be on a 28. They would need something. They might even be on a bigger base, but I like them on a 40. So I thought that worked out pretty well. I gave him these sickles for the Nurgle theme. You could count that as just about anything, a close combat weapon. You could count it as a force weapon, a power lance or sword or spear or axe. Power axe would be an easy count as. So that's a nice simple way, and I gave him a plasma pistol to make him a little more durable. I also did several of these with some spare torsos from the Chaos Terminator Bits pack. So these are, I guess, what you might call Terminator Lords. So it's the same basic concept, it's just with a Terminator front torso. So I had a few spares of those, so I whipped these guys up. Gave them a slightly different sickle, slightly bigger. I made it 2-handed, using some Space Wolf bits. And on the back, if you look closely, you'll see that instead of the regular backpack from these guys, what we did was we went in and we added in some sacs to make it look like, you know, swollen spore sacs or some sort of mucus gland or just about anything else you can imagine there. And as you can see, we've got quite a few of these. We sold one and we liked it, so we decided to build a bunch more and go ahead and put those up on eBay too. So these will be up for sale. I've been on a terrain frenzy for the last few months. And a lot of that is just building up terrain for the shop, but also to sell at places like conventions and that sort of thing. So here is the final product on some desert terrain I put together, or what I'm calling the final product for my proxy of it. So a few weeks ago I showed you the start of this, and the idea was to take a water noodle like this over here. So a basic water noodle, you've seen these before, not a big deal. Take one of these and you cut it up into pieces and you put it down on some MDF terrain, and then you glue that in various positions, and you're going to, you know, apply different products to that to give it a sandy, rough texture. So to this we added in all sorts of these little urns and pots to make it look like desert pots, some broken slag and ruin, some more pillars, and these I actually liked because I cut them, even though the noodles were one solid piece, I actually cut them, bifurcated them, and then glued them back together to give that illusion of columns being stacked. And then this was built up with a variety of textures, mostly modeling compound paste, which is not inexpensive, unfortunately, so I try to use it sparingly. And then beneath that, there's a whole bunch of styrofoam stuff. So here's one of the larger ones. As you can see with my hand in the foreground there, you can see just how big this thing is. It's about 15, 16 inches long and about 12, 13 inches high. So a substantial modeling piece of terrain. When you use that as a set, you can combine that with a couple other of these. And it took us quite a few attempts to get the sand to the consistency that I was happy with. I like it on this set. I may try something different on the other sets because, as you can see, it comes out a little dark. So what we did was we applied several layers of paint and sand and texture. We actually applied a wash to give it so you could see the molecules and the grains there, which I think is nice, but I think I could have achieved the same effect by just dry brushing lighter over darker. So I think I created extra work for myself. But one nice thing about using spray aerosol paint is that you get this shadow, you get this overspray, which I think is great on this sort of terrain because it's kind of what you want. You want it to look like it's sort of integrated. If they were just flat pillars, it wouldn't look very natural, in my opinion. So those are going in the for sale bin. Now, because of their lack of durability, these probably will not be products that I ship. These will probably be products that I keep in store for now, and eventually I'll put into the con box, or for models going towards cons. So here's the finished lake. This was the first lake we did. As you can see, it's a large lake. So if you look closely, you'll see the texture there, and I think the texture really works here. This is from a light fixture. You can buy these panels at Lowe's or Home Depot or your other do-it-yourself stores, DIY. And then over top of that, what we've done is we've applied various shades of blue. We've used modeling paste to create this white snow. And then over that, we've taken snowflake and applied that as well. We've put some of those bundles of snow here in the middle to make it look like it's blown out into the lake. I think that worked pretty well. I definitely want to do some other attempts and try it different ways, but the first attempt wasn't bad. I don't think it's a terrible lake. I think it works pretty well. And that smaller lake we did, I think I showed you in the last video, ended up becoming these. It became tree terrain. So what we did is we glued down a couple pieces of trees, and what's going to happen here is we're going to apply some modeling paste to the branches to give it a look of fallen snow on the trees, and then the bottoms where there's these large wooden cork things, we're going to cover that up with modeling paste too and make it look like a little bit more like this, but still completely white. So that one's not technically done, but it's close enough to give you an idea of what we've been working on. So moving right along, let's go over to the photo booth, show you what we've got over here. So not much over here. A few weeks ago, I think I showed you these guys. These were some Star Wars dreadnoughts that I built for a friend as a gag gift. So there's a Darth Vader one, and here is a Imperial Royal Guard one. There, of course, is a Stormtrooper. And then recently what I finished up was I finished up this Boba Fett one over the weekend. I hadn't really gotten to them and I'd wanted to. Now again, this is not top-notch painting because these guys are destined for a shelf just as sort of a gag gift. So we really just applied the very basic core table-level painting job. Trying to give the impression of the model without going nuts. And as you can see, he's kind of standing on a sarlacc pit there. He's got these tentacles writhing out of the ground to come get him. I enjoyed painting this particular model. I actually really like the paint scheme. Until I painted it, I didn't realize how much I really enjoyed the Boba Fett paint scheme. I like this metallic red and this sort of sea green with the olive cloak and the yellow shoulder pads and the metallic of the gun. I really just enjoyed painting that. I liked how it meshed together. So those 4 guys are bound for Virginia. I'm also going to show you the newest Tyranids we just did, which we're calling the Magma Nids, or Lava Nids, what do you want to call it. So it's a study in layering, multiple layering techniques, just to show you how many layers it takes to build up to a certain color. So with any army, when I look at it, my first impression is, when I see it on the table the first time, do I like it? Not when I go up close and scrutinize every inch of it. It's from the first shot, from table level, walking up to the table a few feet away, what do I think of the paint scheme? Does it grab me? And the answer is yes, then I think I've got something to work with. So try that trick for yourself. I'm going to point the camera at the models and give me your first interpretation. Your first interpretation, yes or no? Do you like it? Do you not? And that's what you go for. So bam, here's the first impression from table view. And now that you take a second to sort of look at it, see the blacks, the oranges, the reds, now we move in a little closer. So what we've got here is a multiple layer Tyranid army. So this is a combination of about 6 layers actually. So it starts out as a white base, and then over that, in order, we layer a very, very thick or very opaque layer of Carnage red, and then we dry brush in order. These are all Reaper colors. Fire red, Magma red, and then I think it goes Phoenix red, and then I use a GW Fiery Orange, but you could use Game Color makes one called Orange Fire, which is about the same color. And then this is Reaper Sun Yellow, which I really like. And then for the claws, I do a final highlight of a 50-50 mix of Sun Yellow White, and then a full-on white for the tip. So you can see here, actually let me get the bigger guy because he's a little easier to focus on. So you can see here, it's just multiple layers, just layer after layer. And this is achieved without any washes. The reality is the deepest red layers create the shadows. So for me, painting is a mixture between good colors and good difference between light and dark. And I think this basic layering technique achieves all of that. So from a table view, I really like the basic look of the model. It's not a hard look to achieve. It's time consuming, but not terribly hard. The trick is to leave, of course, a lot of the dark behind. And in my mind, with the yellow layer, you want to go really, really light because I don't want these guys to come out yellow. I want these guys to come out a mixture of orange. Mostly orange is the color I want to come through, so with the yellow being sort of a topical highlight color. So if you look closely, you can see all of that in there. Now for the back, what I did was I painted on the carapace black, even though these guys, most of the time when you've seen Gene Stealers on the website, they have, they're just a real basic mix, and they don't really have their carapace painted any different. So they come across as one color, which I don't love. I wanted some difference. I wanted a contrast between light and dark. So what I did was I painted these guys' backs black, and then over that we're going to layer this, which is a Liquitex Black Lava. So this is a texture product. Let's see if I can crank it open. It actually, let me put the camera down so you guys can see in there. So when you look at this the first time, this is what it looks like. So it looks like sort of a white grayish modeling paste with black flecks. And that's what it basically looks like at all, period. But once you actually get it in there and get it on the model, it dries to sort of a spackly consistency like this. I'm trying to keep him in focus there. And you can really sort of see it up on his crown there, in front of his face. It's kind of a black basalt rock looking thing with a little gloss to it. which I like quite a bit. It makes me think of obsidian, it makes me think of black rock, it makes me think of cooled asphalt or cooled lava, which I really thought worked for this color scheme. And I saw another army online that did this same basic idea, which was lava with molten rock. So it's not like this is original. It's just original to me, and I wanted to try it, and I really liked it. So this is going to be the next wave of NIDs we're going to do. Partially because I really enjoy the color scheme, partially because I think it's fun. It pops on the table. You don't see a lot of orange-yellow NIDs, which I dig. And this has been a fun process of layering, which I've enjoyed. And usually I'm a pretty wash-heavy guy, so to paint something without wash I think is a lot of fun. So that's about it. The bases will have to come in painted, of course. I'm playing with either the idea of doing black basalt bases with using heavy black lava, or maybe something else, like something more traditional, like dark ground or sandy color, something like that. And I still have to go in and do the fine details, like the eyes and the teeth and the tongues and the tentacles. I'm thinking about doing either purple or green. I'm leaning towards a light purple color. So that's about it. So that's all for this update. As always, my name is Caleb, and I am the sole proprietor of White Metal Games. We are a white metal company. We are a miniature company. We do miniature conversion and painting for wargaming products, role-playing game products of all sorts. We do custom conversions, custom terrain, custom miniatures. We don't do original sculpts, but we do plenty of conversion work. So that just gives you sort of the basic rundown. We also do consignment. If you have old armies that you want to sell, or old models or old stuff you want to get rid of, you can send it to us, mail it to us, and we will sell it for you on behalf of you. For example, one recent model a friend of mine sent in was this model, which is a demon princess, which we put up on eBay a few weeks ago. This is based on La Chimera, which is the French model from, what was the company that did it? The guys that did Ragnarok. They did this, which is a beautiful model. I really like the female lioness theme going on here. Traditionally, she's not holding a ball of fire. We did that ourselves. We sculpted that because we liked the idea of continuing the flame theme from the hair. So we mixed that in there. So yeah. So she was a consignment piece that we're selling. So if you're interested in that, please contact us. And as always, just contact me at calebfilm. I've updated my email address, caleb@whitemetalgames.com, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. We do not have a website yet, but the website will be launched in the next month or so. I have a designer who is working on that hard right now, and he should have some results soon. We do have a placeholder, so if you go to whitemetalgames.com, you will see the placeholder. So that was nice. And when we get the site launched, we'll have all of our terms and conditions, examples of our past work, thousands of pictures of our old models, old armies that we've done, plus new armies that we're interested in doing. That's about it. So please stay tuned, subscribe, and put your monies where your mouth is. Take care. Bye-bye.